my name's Nicole. In this episode, I will be talking about antisocial behaviour. This can be a bit of a tricky one, as there are many different things that people class as antisocial. So the best way to describe it is behaviour by a person which causes or is likely to cause harassment, alarm or distress to persons not of the same household as the person either participating or causing the antisocial behaviour. Now you're probably thinking, well, that could be anything, and is it really a cause of concern if it only affects like 2 people out of the majority of people? And this is where I unfortunately have to tell you there are technically 3 different categories of antisocial behaviour depending on how many people are affected. So we have personal antisocial behaviour, which is where a person targets a specific group or an individual. Then secondly, we have nuisance antisocial behaviour, when a person causes trouble or annoyance to a community. And then lastly is environmental antisocial behaviour, which I guess you can kind of guess what that one is. So that one means a person's actions affect the wider environment, like in a public place, on like public transport, or like in a shopping centre, airport, train, bus. I think the environmental antisocial behaviour is kind of more what we're used to seeing signs about. Like I know like on the trains and buses and stuff, there's always signs like or announcements. If you experience antisocial behaviour, get in contact with 08 blah 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 blah. But there are different types. Now here's an interview our reporter Thomas O'Mahony did with local Ballyfermot man Kenneth O'Driscoll, who has set up a running club to help young people in the area keep out of trouble and instead focus on their fitness.
So joining me this evening is Kenneth O'Driscoll. He runs the local running club in Ballyfermot and is a real positive example of kind of how you can use exercise as a real positive force in your life. Ken, welcome to the show.
Thanks very much, Thomas.
Now, Ken, if you just want to talk about yourself, how did you come to start up the running club?
Way back about 14 years ago, I went through a little bad patch like most people in life, but I decided to start running just for my physical and mental health, and start getting out and posting a lot of stuff on Facebook, but just posting stuff on Facebook and that, and start encouraging young lads and some of my friends to start running with me. Before we knew it, we had about 10 lads out running, and that's where Cherry Orchard Running Club started.
Yeah, and so have you found that like a lot of lads that have kind of joined up, they've like really engaged with like the run, and they've found it like something really positive to do?
Oh, without a doubt. A lot of the lads that started out running with us would have had probably bad patches themselves, you know what I mean? And for the like to stay out of trouble as well is another great thing. But we just started running together, and the feedback I was getting off them was brilliant. Like the feelings you get from running itself is just unreal. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
After any run that we ever done, we always made sure we all had a good chat after it and talked about our problems and stuff. But mentally and physically, it's an amazing thing to do.
Mm-hmm. And in your own experience, like obviously being a local in like Ballyfermot and Cherry Orchard, like what's the difference you've kind of seen in the area? I know you mentioned before in a great piece that the Echo did about you, that like you had kids that were kind of cheering you on when you were running around when you started it off. What kind of change can you see yourself?
Yeah, well, basically when we were young lads, I always remember one thing about, there was always the antisocial behaviour side of things in Cherry Orchard, and there was always rob cars out and stuff. And when I was a young lad, I always remembered cheering the boys going up and down and rob cars, you know what I mean? So for us, the great time we had, one time we were running up through Cherry Orchard, and we had a load of kids out, and they started cheering us on, running past them, and that just brought back memories to me. And I thought, Amy, how positive it is that they're out cheering us rather than cheering on the guys in the rock cars and other stuff like that, you know.
And it's actually funny because myself, the first interaction I had with the running club was myself and a couple of colleagues in the college went over to Family Base to do an interview with Alan Tully, who helps run an amazing service in Family Base itself. And I was wondering, like, is this massive group of like 40 people that are going for a run at 7 o'clock in the evening, you know? But how has the running club grown over the past couple of years?
But in the last 2 years, the family base had approached me and they took me on as the community coach in the area. And basically, when people seen us out running together, you know, and I was kept putting posts up and I was tagging people, and then they seen the buzz that we were having. You know what I mean? I'm sure they see the know off people's face when you finished the run, and the positive vibe that was going around about it. And eventually, it's so attractive when people want something positive in their life. You know what I mean? They tend to be gravitating towards positive people and positive groups. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And what sort of like positive changes do you see in like people over time when they start engaging with the running club, you know?
Yeah, well, like the guys in the running club and the girls come from all walks of life, and in some cases, like we had lads that were, say, heavy drinkers, for instance, and a lot of the time when you're a heavy drinker or a heavy drug user, you bring that home to the family then as well, you know, and the changes in them, like, I seen was unbelievable. Their girlfriends and their wives contacted me saying how amazing they are and how the running has changed their lives so much. And and then, like, even with young lads, you know what I mean, we have a couple of young lads that are running with us now that I know for a fact that they hadn't started running with us a couple of years ago, they'd have probably ended up either in prison, probably on drugs or drink themselves, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm.
And kind of, what's the future really for the running club? What would you like to do? Because you've seen a really big growth from 3 people to a big group of 30, 40 people running with you when you go out for your runs. What's kind of the future for you?
The future, basically, for me personally, is to just inspire every single person to change their lives. You know, like, it's in us all. You know what I mean? I talk about in the club, like, deep down in your soul, there's this warrior, I call them, that wants to get out. And for me, going forward, I just love to see the club building, and hopefully with the area plan, the running track is introduced to the area, and from that then we can introduce, like, we have young teenagers that we want to work on, and young kids as well, that we know that if we got the track up and running and we had a better structure in the club, which, well, we have got a good structure, but I mean, like, going forward, I just think that young kids that take up running will obviously become runners as they go forward, you know?
Mm-hmm. And what advice would you give to, say, someone who's listening to this and they're a bit unsure of themselves? They can see that down the line they might be going down a path where they might get into trouble and they kind of want to change. What advice would you give to them?
Basically, look, the thing is, it's up to you to change, you know what I mean? And all you do is just take 1 or 2 little small steps. We all know what's right and what's wrong in life. And if you just try to make the steps towards being a good person, you know, and just get out and try to do a little bit of a run, and, you know, to basically, before you know it, running will change your mind, and it just, your brain works different, and it'll try to gravitate towards more positive things, and you won't go down that road, you know. Well, that's what the goal would be.
And Ken, if someone wants to get involved in the running club, what should they do?
There's a couple of ways. We have the Cherry Orchard Running Club Facebook page. We have my own personal page as well, Kenneth O'Driscoll. I'm going to be putting up a live tomorrow morning. I'm doing a live workout just for the people in the community to link in with me. And yeah, there's lots of ways. Just as I said, the Facebook page is probably the best. The Cherry Orchard Running Club Facebook page.
Perfect, and I want to thank you so much, Ken, for talking to me, and I'm going to throw it back now to Nicole in the studio.
Some people, they don't really see antisocial behaviour as a serious thing. They think it's just like kids, teenagers and young adults just having fun and messing around. But what you notice is the older they get, the less acceptable it becomes. So why do people dismiss it when they're younger? So does dismissing it when they're younger give a false idea that it's okay to disturb other people for no other reason than you're bored? So communities as a whole need to kind of come together, in my opinion, and help these young people find more productive things for them to do, maybe develop a new hobby. I know myself, I used to live in a rural village in the middle of nowhere, and for a long time, like, the only way that I kind of knew how to entertain myself apart from like playing with my friends, which kind of, as I got older, you know, it kind of gets more boring and uncool, especially when you're a teenager. But the only thing I really had was like my phone or my TV. And I was lucky enough that when I was younger, my parents they didn't push me to read, but reading was kind of, as you were going to bed, was like a common thing in our house. So even in the evening times, at least I had, if I didn't want to watch TV or didn't want to go on my phone, I could just read a book. But at the same time, that's only a couple of hours in the evening. I still had like my weekends, especially. It's like my whole day, I didn't know what to do. So then a badminton club opened up in the local community centre. And at first I was like, no, I really have no interest in that. And I was like not happy, but I was just content like in my lazy routine. And then like my friends started going and I felt a bit stupid then because I was literally doing nothing with my time. And then once I started going to these like badminton games and events and stuff, I didn't really play for the first few times I went. I just kind of watched and seen what it was about. And then once I started, it genuinely changed like not changed my life, but it changed my attitude and how I behaved as a teenager, because I kind of had that outlet. I was a very emotional teenager, and once I was like actively doing something, it was a way for me to get my emotions and my frustrations out. And then on top of it, I made new friends that I'm still friends with today. So basically, I just want to end it on antisocial behaviour. I know it seems like a small thing, and most of the time it is. It's kind of just stems from boredom. But I think as like a society and a community, we need to just kind of come together and help these young people, whether it's a sporting activity, whether it's music, whether it's reading, whatever, just to stop them, especially in like cities and like poorer areas, just to stop them getting involved in antisocial behaviour, which then can stem with them having a problem with authority and everything of the sort, and just help them to lead better lives.